G'day guys, welcome back to another FairDinkum episode. It's been a while since we've last recorded, but we've got an absolute bang of an episode for you guys. Well, I personally think it's a banger. We covered a wide variety of conversations going from conspiracy theories to the government, as well as self-development, getting out of the rut, some practical tips for how we get out of the rut. We also covered a little bit in regards to the NBA playoffs. We've done some of our predictions, jam-packed episodes. If you guys want some episodes, send them through to us. But first and foremostly, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Peace.
Specific people, like they try to pawn off that they've done something amazing or miraculous, like they've got some sort of secret formula. But what really happened is just Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wrote it for them, and it was like the luck of the draw, basically. But in our terms, it's Allah wrote for them, and Allah didn't write for others. And the problem is that when they come to explain it to people, how did you? I woke up at 6 a.m. I did this. But that guy did the same thing. But this brother did the same.
Some things just fall into place. Like
exactly. FairDinkum. What a great way to segue into what my topics were. What I discovered this past week.
Well, before you, people are gonna think. Maybe not for us, we look like we're in the same studio. But these brothers here, as you can see, there's only one bookshelf here. We've recently moved into a new studio, which is why we haven't been able to upload the last couple of weeks. We've been trying to do lighting.
Wait, shout out to a new studio, boys.
This is what happens when you get 10k subscribers on YouTube. You can invest, you can...
The money starts flowing in.
Don't listen to them.
There's no money coming in.
There's a super thanks button at the bottom of this video. If you push that and you donate a couple bucks, you're involved in the dawah, whatever.
Get the ajr.
Even better, just
like. Wait, are we part of the dawah? Are we part of the dawah field?
We're part of the take money field.
The subtle dawah.
Alhamdulillah, it's good to be in a new studio. Good to be back on the couch with you boys.
The new couch,
True. New everything. So yalla, touch on what you've been seeing recently.
Wait, what's the best part of this new studio that you guys would say? Just off the bat.
Well, I'd say the couches. I'm not
studio.
The couches, not slouching. Like,
for sure.
I don't know, people don't know, but then you kind of feel a bit slouched. A bit too comfy. What about you?
Definitely the couches, wallah. Definitely the bloody couches.
Damn.
Yeah, we're not done yet. We've still got some more to come.
Yeah, just to start.
That wall isn't going to be empty. Don't worry, we've got a
Things
surprise
are coming.
for you guys, huh?
I don't know. I feel like just having the idea of having your own studio, just you feel like it's a more professional thing. Even just the idea like FairDinkum is actually a serious thing. Even though it was before, it's just now it's alhamdulillah, it's a nice feeling to have your own studio,
Bro, what do you mean? I got caught in traffic on the way here today. I'm thinking this is what Souhail goes through every single time, bro.
By the way, I'm parked outside in the...
That's all good. I saw your car,
Okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Thank God, I don't cop it from my brother. Anyway, just touch. What are you talking about?
We're talking about history. Just off the bat,
Nice.
Historia.
I dug into my TikTok the other day and
TikTok history.
Not my history.
Okay.
On TikTok history, that would have been bad.
That's dangerous, bro.
But no, I was watching. They do that AI stuff where that guy is talking about Islamic history and it's like a painting of like some old Muslim guy
scholar,
and his mouth is moving and he's telling stories of the ancients, the prophets, whatever. And then you go down. There's some recommended videos because you liked it. I don't know. I heard about or some guy goes the worst country in history that you would want to be captured by was the Japanese. Like, what?
Yeah.
What do you mean Japanese? Like, I think like everyone's...
They're nice guys. They're nice guys. They're
very
shy.
polite.
Very polite,
They'll commit suicide if they dishonor or whatever. I'm thinking, no chance, bro. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, you got to do research on Unit 731. It comes a rabbit hole. Click on it. Watch about 60 videos about Unit 731, where they used to do experiments on I think that were the Chinese, the Nanking. And obviously there's also the R word of Nanking. We don't want to get demonetized because we can't pay for these couches. But obviously there's the R word of Nanking where they went into a village. There's an evil scientist. I don't know what his name is specifically, and blah blah blah. And then I just delved into it. I'm like, far out. There's so much stuff.
What type of experiments do they do? Like, because these prisoners of war, it's how they treat them, pretty much.
They would operate on people while they were still awake, like no anesthesia.
So just so I know, how far back was this? Like, was this recently?
This was World War II.
Okay.
So it wasn't super recent. I think it might have been, when was Hiroshima and stuff?
60s, yeah.
No, before that, wasn't it?
No, I'm pretty sure atomic bomb was 64. So it was after that stuff. I'm pretty sure.
Wasn't the first atomic bomb used in the World War?
I don't know.
Yeah.
So let's
we'll get that fact checked.
Yeah.
Let's fact check it.
Fact check it, Mr. Photos. Fact check
Yeah, you could do our fact checker. Yeah.
This guy's just looking around.
Bro.
So, anyways, the long story short, what happened is, so this guy's an evil scientist. He was running a bunch of experiments, and he was conducting like basically a concentration camp where he brought in his people. He cut them open and see how they react to different things. He would do frostbite, like he'd put like a bunch of like, I think it was liquid nitrogen or whatever it is on people's hands to see how they react, see the human capability and so on. He's doing tests, and he was like writing down these metrics. And then the Americans infiltrated his base, and they found him, and they basically told him like, they grabbed him, they've arrested him or whatever. And then they released him. They released him for what reason? Give us the metrics and the data that you've got from all these experiments that you did. So he created a flea where he injected the bubonic plague into it.
Yeah.
But then he mutated the bubonic plague and he turned it into like a worse version of that. And he released that into a village in China.
Yeah.
And then those fleas basically went and bit all the people, and how everyone died from that disease. And you're like, so if like, you know what I mean? Like the capability of some people is there
for sure.
And like we've seen COVID and whatever, and they reckon that's a human generated disease and stuff like that. It makes you go far. Like how many dark pockets of society are there that we haven't found out about,
for sure,
that we don't know about, that that have happened or that are happening, but we're not familiar. Now I understand why mum was paranoid. She didn't let me out the house.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to ride a bike.
How many hours were you down that rabbit hole?
I say solid 6 hours. I ended up...
Bro, that's light work.
That's a whole sleep.
That's light, fam.
Bro, I ended up at... obviously, I prayed all my prayers, alhamdulillah. Praise be to God. But
he joined his prayers. He's like...
But then I ended up at some sort of haunted house in America that apparently if you can laugh...
Are you still on TikTok, by the way? Or is this you've gone to YouTube or something?
This is TikTok.
Okay.
And then I went to YouTube after because I see some videos I posted on TikTok. But this is good. The videos that are there are just educational videos. But so there's a place called McCaney Manor or something like that in America. So what happens is if you can last this torture house, this haunted house for 8 hours or whatever it is, if you can last to the end, which no one has. Apparently some Navy SEALs lasted 6 hours.
What?
But then he quit.
Navy SEALs, they're like...
Just David Goggins, that's
sign a waiver to go in there.
Yeah.
And they say, on this waiver, you waive your rights to anything. We can do, as long as you're not on the verge of dying, basically, or you're not like gonna pass away, we can do whatever we want to you. And even if you call for like the safety, they give you a safety word, even if you call the safety word, they continue. So they rip off nails, they beat people, like they'll
what?
like they like buy.
This one's not educational.
No, but this is insane.
Yeah, so they do all these things. I don't know, McCaney Manor. If you do a bit of research on that, and the bloke who runs it, he's a bit of a majnoon. Yeah. Majnoon means loopy bloke. Yeah. He offered everyone $20,000 if you can pass it, but there's basically no lasting it because
in a simulation
they don't give you a specific time limit. They just tell you, if you can last in the time limit, but they don't tell you what it is. And it made me think. And you know what's crazy? Like I was doing research. People have gone in there 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, and you're like, bro, why are these people allowed on the streets? Like genuinely, like holistically, all my accumulation of these studies, I'll wrap it up in this one little statement. Like we genuinely need to assess the mental state of certain people that are walking around. Really,
what makes you consider going? Well, firstly, a first time, but then again, a second time to like beat your personal challenge or whatever that is, your record.
It's just filth, bro. Like these guys have got blood in their mouth and they spit blood in the guy's face. They've tied him up. They've put his head in a cage with snakes and stuff. You're like.
Yeah. The only thing is, I'm just thinking, because obviously you spoke before about like prisoners of war and what they go through. These people, like Navy SEALs, you'd say the strongest people in the world mentally, like that's literally what they're supposed to do: get put down in the toughest spaces, toughest challenges, and overcome it. These guys last 6 hours. Imagine the prisoners of war, like in the Holocaust, or these Japanese people that were experimented on. It's like the last years sometimes, and they come out and they still can overcome it and they live normal lives. It's like
but they have trauma as well.
Yeah,
they go
most do, like 95%. But I'm just saying, there's a lot of cases where the person can overcome it, still be happy in life, and it's like, damn, these guys couldn't last 6 hours. Yeah. I wouldn't last a minute. But I'm just saying,
honestly, bro. Like, ask yourself this. Why am I doing this? Like,
wait. So that's what I was gonna ask you. So people are going into that house just for the thrill of it.
So some of them say,
and the $20,000.
They know that the 20,000 doesn't exist. Yeah, it doesn't exist. He's telling you there's a time limit, but you don't know what. I'm the one who controls that.
Yeah,
which means if you get to the point where you're lasting, he's not gonna say, you know what? Yeah, here's your 20,000.
You just defeated the guy.
Nah, bro, he'll never let you.
And there's a good chance. There's a good chance you're in the house. You're not looking at your watch. Oh, it's been an hour. Exactly. Let me keep pushing.
Exactly.
Like you've got no idea. They probably take everything off you anyway.
They don't tell you nothing. So you don't know nothing about when the ending is or whatever.
Oh, that's insane.
He just tells you basically get in there, and he's got a bunch of like weirdos that are inside with him in this haunted house. You know, like. They're the ones conducting all of these different
bro, but think of the guy that's coming up with the experiment, like
brains behind it.
The brains behind it, and think about how apart from society you have to be like, okay, cool, I'm gonna do something to a group of people to see just for my own thrill, because he's probably gonna get a kick out of it himself.
They probably have to pay to come. Like they'll make you pay.
They do pay. Yeah,
it's
it's like $500 or something.
Yeah, but the thing is, with people, it's like you intentionally go to this place, and it's like.
Yeah, right. They get G'd from it, like these guys. We went once, and then we just loved it so much we had to come back again. I'm like, how?
And I feel like sometimes we're conditioned in the world that we live in that these type of stuff actually happen outside of it, but we're just not aware of it. Like I started watching Ozark recently, and then I don't know if you guys watched Ozark.
No.
Okay, so Ozark pretty much you guys watch Breaking Bad?
Yeah.
Think of it just sort of like a Breaking Bad, like someone else living a type of life where they're influencing the politics or they're making a change within a local community and all that kind of stuff, and they're just living their own complete lives, and we don't even know completely about that. You know what I mean? And it's like, what's really going on? Even like on top of that, the conspiracies that you're talking about, there's this YouTube channel that you're gonna go down the biggest rabbit hole. It's called Jake Tran. I don't know if you've seen it before.
Because is this about the dark web?
No, he has so many different videos. So he's done a video on that one, the house that you're talking about, and he's also done it on like the American, government, and like exposing low-key different things and all that kind of stuff. Like little things, for example. It's conspiracies and things that you wouldn't have thought until someone brought it to your eyes.
He has a lot of facts. It's like one of those.
Yeah, there's facts. There's facts like supporting. Like for example, one of the things he speaks about is like how we were conditioned to drink milk because it was used to benefit the American government. Especially the farmers, the farmers were backed up by the American government.
When we drinking milk, like at the Prophet's time, like 1400 years ago,
we were, but then they made it as in like it's a staple. Like you're not gonna
every morning,
every morning. They used to make advertisements like a cup a day, a cup a night, or something along those lines. And McDonald's hopped onto it and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of the advertisements started because the farming industry was going down, and the American government needs the farming industry to prosper in order so they can get whatever. Allah Alam, their taxes and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Benefits.
So those type of conspiracies where it's like it wouldn't be brought to your eyes unless you thought about it from like a different point of perspective. You know what I mean? And like even Chinese billionaires, bro. Do you get what I mean? Like the whole thing going on with the world at the moment where they're trying to say how they're trying to de-dollarize the American, get rid of the American dollar,
US dollar, because the most debt around the world is in US dollars, which is unfair because the US can just, if they're in debt by US dollars, they can print it.
They can print it, exactly.
Like they say, a lot of countries in Africa have to make the money in their own, then exchange it into US to pay off US debt. So most debt, like a lot of countries are into US dollars, which is only beneficial to US.
To the US, unfair, and the new rise is the petrodollar or whatever in regards to like all of these countries coming out with oil, gas, and all of that kind of stuff. But a couple of the theories that are coming out is like, in regards to like China, how China's uprising and stuff. It's like, they're going to make their yen like the number one currency in the world.
World currency, kind of stuff.
But China as an economy,
China yen.
Yeah, China's yen. Yeah, is it? China's the yen. Yeah, but then with China, you know what they do? Yeah, all their billionaires, they keep it within in-house, so that they can keep their economy fluctuating type of thing.
Yeah.
So what do Chinese billionaires do? Is they launder their money through casinos. through places like in
rush hour stuff.
Yeah, literally they do that.
I've seen the wealthy. A big thing is they say paintings is how they launder money to each other because, for example, so like the calligraphy thing I did. It's like to me it's worth $100, yeah, but it's like, oh no, I think it's worth $1 million, and they can pay you $1 million and get away with it through tax and stuff like that.
No one's going to question.
They hold value in paintings. That's what I've seen with rich people. I don't know. Obviously, I'm not in that.
Because it makes sense though, because if you're earning money, you've got to have it reported somehow. Do you get what I mean? So if it's not on the tax system or whatever, then where did that money come from?
Also expenses. You pay it. It's like, okay, you made 100 million. It's like I spent 80 million on art this year. Maybe there's an art tax. It's like this to Donald Trump. Yeah. I know Donald Trump has his
financial literacy.
He has very intelligent ways to save money. He's a businessman and stuff like that. Like in his backyard, he built like a golf course, like a massive golf course, I'm pretty sure, but he buried a body on it. There's a body that's buried in the golf course because if you bury one body, it can be counted as like a graveyard. So there's all these tax benefits he gets out of it.
What
and there's all these things. I was like, whoa! When I heard that, it's like this guy's thinking different.
Their body,
which body is it as well?
Like this stuff. It's like these guys are looking for
what?
It's like you ask someone. It's like, hey, I'll give you $100,000 to bury. It's like that saves my whole family. And to him, he saves 100K a year.
To loopholes, tax.
It's all this, whatever it is.
So, but think about it. Him trying to avoid the tax there,
Yeah.
He still paid the guy whatever money.
Maybe he did, he probably did, But it's just funny stuff, man. You know?
But no, I understand, because then the benefit will continue over years. It won't just be that 1 year that he saves the tax money. But
would you exchange your life? This is just off the bat question, yeah?
Would you fire question?
Yeah.
One of those.
Would you like swap lives with people like this, like, and forget the deen aspect of things and all that kind of stuff? Yeah, because I know someone's gonna give me
straight answer.
That type of answer. Yeah,
I'd swap after Rasul's
One of those guys.
Like the hardest thing to do.
With people who possess this type of knowledge in regards to how money laundering works and all of this kind of stuff, and live that type of lifestyle.
Like as in on edge the whole time, big more money, more problems kind of thing.
No, but some of them, like say even 10% of them are still content and happy, and there's no, you know. Yeah. It's more like even if someone like the guy with 50 million, you know what I mean? It's not. He's not a billionaire, but he's got everything he needs.
Yeah, exactly.
And for some people, that's the type of life they live. You know, for them, that's like a normal life. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, like drug cartels and like the that kind of money. Do you get what I mean?
I don't know if you're saying I'd switch places with them for the knowledge or even the lifestyle to live it.
No, not the lifestyle, not the lifestyle.
Just the financial.
The money and the knowledge that they have, because honestly, you got to give it to them. They're sort of clever. You would have never thought to buy a painting. You wouldn't even buy a painting for $5. Yeah. And they're spending $100,000 on a painting. Do you get what I mean?
Have you watched Narcos?
Yeah,
because then you see the way this guy thinks, and you're like, damn, you know.
And forget all of that, like the killing and the immoral side of things. You know,
if there was a we'll say ethical way, someone made money ethically, and they had like 50, 100 million. Obviously, I'm gonna switch places with them.
Yeah,
Bill Gates.
Is that ethical?
Would you switch lives?
No, I want to switch lives with him, but I'll take his knowledge, obviously switch it. You know, a week later, I'm back to me, and I use the mindset. It's
like you got one wish, fam.
You can't go back. You can't go back. Oh, what the hell?
You got to live their life.
Now I got to pick who I want to switch with.
Yeah.
Maybe Zuckerberg.
Khabib. That's the best way to do it.
Khabib?
Yeah.
But Khabib even goes, like, I can't leave the house. I go to the mosque. People always ask for photos. He's a bit too famous. You know what I mean? You'd rather be someone like
under the radar.
Same money, but no one knows him. You can still enjoy life.
Because there's some people, like you were saying with the house and all these other things, there's so much in the world we don't know. So if you have that sort of money, you can gain that sort of power, connect with those people that you've got no idea the world, like these things exist. In terms of understanding the world, how the governments are controlled and all that, that's fascinating in itself.
And plus, you got to have a different mental mind frame, because now you know so much that's happening in the world to be able to like deal with it. Like one of the main guys in Ozark, when you guys do watch, I recommend you guys watch it though, Marty Bird. Like he goes from living a normal lifestyle of being like a financial accountant, but gets done up in like a different type of environment, gets involved with like the cartel, and he goes from laundering money for them to save his family, because he keeps getting put in like life-death situations, to now owning like massive containers just to keep up with like sort of the lifestyle, you know. So he just keeps going up and up and up, you know. But then the mental mind frame or mindset to be able to like deal with this and be comfortable with it is like on a whole different level as well. You know what I mean?
Look, they have these super successful people. There's a reason that, a lot of them are successful. They do think outside the box, you know.
And they know things we don't know.
Yeah, they a lot of them it's through hard work. Yeah,
Connected to the right people as well.
Yeah.
True, yeah.
Look, I think this kind of goes back to I had a discussion with someone about this the other day, and this is actually hilarious. This is a funny conversation. Like, there's how many people do we know that had startups that failed? We know a lot of brothers and sisters that, for example, had a cafe, and their cafe just bombed. But they basically word for word, bar for bar, as Soldier Boy says,
Yeah.
did the same thing that another brother did that was extremely successful, and they probably did it in the same space.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you ask yourself, like, what's the difference? You know, like, how come one guy ended up benefiting and how come the other guy didn't? They done the exact same thing. The food quality was the same. Bang, bang, bang. You know, like, and then you go, hang on a second. Isn't there like a higher power at play here? Isn't someone's risk already written? Isn't it? Isn't the qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in play at this situation?
Yeah.
So it made me go, hang on a second. There's probably 1 billion people that have tried to be actors and actresses that have had talent, or football players or basketball players, but they never got their light shined on them or whatever it was. And we can say they didn't have the luck of the draw, because that's what the non-Muslims would say, or unbelievers would say. But for us, we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's qadr and His risk is encompassing of all things.
Yeah.
So when we look at people, for example, who say like, oh my God, it was like this extends to motivational speakers. I can say specific names, but I don't want to because it might cause a bit of controversy. But specific people, yeah, like they try to pawn off that they've done something amazing or miraculous, like they've got some sort of secret formula, yeah. But what really happened is just Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wrote it for them, and it was like the luck of the draw, basically. But in our terms, it's Allah wrote for them, and Allah didn't write for others.
Yeah.
And the problem is that when they come to explain it to people, how did you? I woke up at 6 a.m. I did this. Yeah, but that guy did the same thing.
Yeah.
But this brother did the same.
Some things just fall into place. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like there's one guy, for example, Ben White, plays for Arsenal. This guy does not watch football at all. Doesn't like he doesn't find it interesting. It's his full-time job. He plays for Arsenal, like Premier League team. His whole family doesn't watch football as well. There's no benefit, or no influence from young. He just happened to be, I don't know exactly what team, but then he just gets put in playing football. Okay, he's good. He eventually plays senior football, gets attracted by Arsenal playing one of the best clubs in the world.
Yep.
And it just falls into place. Like you said, it's a risk, like it was meant to be. Yeah. This guy didn't even know how he got there, just did.
I think also there's I don't know if you guys know, but Malcolm Gladwell, he has a book, Outliers.
Yep.
And he talks about this, where he talks about timing of things. So he talks about like Bill Gates, or Steve Jobs, even when first computers started coming out, it was at the right age for them. It could be the same for Ben White, could be the same for business owners. A lot of the times you might just, for example, you start a cafe on Sydney Road, and you start it at a time where people are, hey, I want to go out for brunch and stuff like that. Then 3 years later, when the market's already flooded, that's when you go in. You can have the exact same thing, but timing plays a big part. Yeah. And that's a lot of the time, especially with sports, with businesses. It's like when HSP was a big thing. If you just opened up a shop and had HSP at that time or a couple months earlier, you'd go, you'd make so much. But then if you start, like now, HSP is like just another caravan, another food truck.
Understanding completely. Yeah. But do you see where I'm coming from, where there's certain people that try to pawn off that they have some sort of secret sauce or some sort of formula that created their success, or that they've got something to offer other people, but they're basically spitting generic stuff that we already know. Yeah. And then you got people paying $300 to go to these events, these conventions, for them to hear the most generic advice from motivational speakers that are telling you things you should already know. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Like, wake up earlier, work more. The more shots you shoot, the more chances you get of the ball going in the hoop. No, of course, no ish. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you.
But that's where we go. Okay, what's the difference between me saying that and, for example, Gary Vee? Gary Vee had a very successful company. He has a certain amount of money. He's an investor. Blah blah blah. He has this to back him up. He's got that credibility. Yeah. But me and him are spitting the same thing. We're talking the same. We're basically. I'm gonna word for word say what he says. But what's the difference?
He's got a couple 100 million.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But can I say something though? Yeah. Would you say that mindset is only applicable though after you've tried something though? in regards to like you console that person with, like, let's just say Ashraf and I both decide to start up a cafe on Sydney Road.
Yep.
We've done the exact same thing, both 6 a.m. starts, both worked hard, whatever. And then my one doesn't work out, but Ashraf's one flourishes.
Yep.
Yeah. Wouldn't you say that mindset or that advice would be applicable to someone when things don't go my way, for example? You know what I mean? Rather than before you start out that venture. Because at the end of the day, when you both start out, the odds are
exactly.
even
They're
type
both
of
in
thing.
everyone's favor.
Yeah, exactly.
100%. This is what I say, like,
because I hate people that complain later on and say, but why? That's where you got to accept certain things in the world.
And there's ownership of it. It's like, even for businesses, a lot of the time, sometimes someone will say, the market needs this,
Yeah.
And they open up a business and the market doesn't come. It's like, maybe it's price, maybe it's quality, maybe it's, people just don't know about your brand.
Yeah.
There's many factors why a company won't be successful.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm just having a blanket rule over a lot of things.
Yeah.
But then sometimes just adaptability. An organization's like, okay, how adaptable can it be? Because sometimes people force their ideas thinking the market wants it.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, the market wants this. And then sometimes people become successful. Like Ben White, he goes, that was never my dream. My dream is something else. It's like, the opportunities came, he took it, and khalas.
That's the other thing, because there's this podcast that NPR does called How I Built This. And every successful entrepreneur, sorry about the audio, every successful entrepreneur at the end of the episode, Guy Raz, who runs the episode, he asks them one question. He goes, how much of it was due to luck and how much of it was due to like hard work? You know what I mean? A majority of them, acknowledge the fact that there is a luck that plays into position. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, if you and I both like walk on the same street and then you just happen to look down and then whatever, it was written for you, that was qadr type of thing. But you can't deny the fact that you're attentive, you know what I mean? And then you had that hustler mindset where you wanted to look up and look down and badass analogy, but yeah.
No, but I get where you're coming from.
If you think you're going to find $1 million on the road and looking down, it's not happening.
People are going to start walking Sydney Road.
I understand where you're coming from, but I think this is what I meant, when I said all that stuff. What I'm saying is that, like, for example, when you have a YouTube channel, and nobody knows you don't have any guests that come on, whatever it is, and all of a sudden you put a video up and then it explodes because the algorithm found something in it liked and it took it away.
Or the value of the guest,
It's the luck of the draw, basically, The one thing that I'm saying is, in this situation, a lot of people, sorry for the audio again.
We're just adjusting to the new studio.
Interrupting. But
you're whispering like you can't hear.
Souhail whispering?
But so basically what I'm saying is, I think a lot of people discount that situation and try to pawn it off as them being some magical creature or being that's come from, angels or something like that to create something so amazing. And like, you got to understand, like, for a brand or an item or a designer or whatever it is, you're all creating the same thing, essentially, a t-shirt, a garment, or whatever it is, but like, some guy might have made something good as well in the eyes of a couple of people, in the eyes of himself, and then the other person who actually exploded was it ended up working out better for him in the long run, or whatever it is. And then you go, okay, like, and then that person comes out and goes, oh yeah, it was all because of me and because what I did and I designed, and then but I'm saying on a smaller scale in your own life, in your day-to-day life, have you ever had Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala push you opportunities or things in your life? You're like, wait, how did this happen? Like, even like an exam result or a test result, and you done the exam, you done the test, you're like, oh, far out, man. Like, I tried my best, but when I was in the exam, I didn't feel like I was writing. It felt like someone else was there. Yeah. And then you find out you got like an 80 or 90% when you thought you were going to get like a 40. Yeah. You're like, whoa. Like,
for sure.
It's Khabib's Hall of Fame speech. When he got inducted, that's what he said. He goes like, a lot of people like, when you get on the stage and you get the accolades and people selling courses and stuff like that, like me, and they don't understand that obviously there's we use the terms as well used before. There's luck and hard work put together, opportunity, qadr Allah, all those things coming together, and that's what made you successful. It's not me,
and acknowledging the gratitude as well. Because as much as before what I said, because that's technically incorrect statement, how we could be on the same level playing field, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's never level, you know what I mean? Because you might have a little bit of intuition towards this that I might not possess, just because you've been blessed with it at the end of the day, But I was going to ask you a question. Do you think people should idolize motivational speakers in that sense?
idolize.
Personally, like
Yeah.
personally.
And do you think that's what turns you off from when you listen to
Like
these-
hold them to a higher regard, you mean?
Yeah, based off what they
I
say.
feel like they serve a purpose. They have, like, I've never been on it. You boys already know. I've had a couple of conversations.
That's why it's
Yeah.
directed towards you. Yeah,
I had my little, I had my little phase with it. But I'll be honest with you, I don't. They're telling you things you need to hear. Obviously, as reminders, we know in Islam anyway, reminder benefits to believers. Yeah, they're telling you things you need to hear. But for them to be making millions of dollars and touring the world and having conventions with 100,000 people, whatever it is, the stadiums and sold out and blah, blah, blah.
it's
Yeah.
mental.
Yeah, I'm just like,
Bro, Jordan Peterson came here and he charged like $400 for a ticket at like MCG or like Etihad Stadium, when his lectures are for free on bloody YouTube.
Yeah.
exactly.
And
It's
he
going to
might
be
be
a better
get-
topic because you can pick what you want.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know,
Like, were they expecting some sort of like pixie dust to be thrown at them at these events or something like that? This is where I go. Obviously, Ashraf, you might have a different perspective on the situation.
Not really. I've been to Gary Vee, you know, and Gary Vee, when he was at the conference, Ali and I were there, he literally said, he goes, 98% of you listening to me right now are going to be like, whoa, this is life-changing. You're going to go home, sleep, and forget about it tomorrow.
yeah,
He goes, there's no, and literally on that day, he goes, there's no secret formula thing you can do for an overnight success. It's hard work and patience. And so a lot of the times I think sometimes people pay big bucks for Tony Robbins, Jordan Peterson, whoever comes down, because of what they've done for them. So if people listen to Tony Robbins, Jordan Peterson online, they're like, this guy changed my life because they were, you know, we'll just say they were off it and they got onto their true trajectory, their passion, their path in life. So because these people had such a big impact, they don't mind giving them $400 and stuff like that. I think for you, when you started listening to whoever it was, the same for all of us, we weren't in the situations with some of the people, like I was homeless, you know, I was 100K in debt, and these guys changed my
Can't
life.
relate as much.
To me, alhamdulillah, I was 18, you know, when I started listening, for example, 18, uni, friends, family, alhamdulillah, there wasn't a lot of problems. All it did was like help me go gym.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
It's not like life-changing. I'm like, this guy owe you my life. Someone else was like, you know, I was on food stamps for 6 months, living in a dumpster, and this guy changed my life. It's like, okay, you know?
No, 100%. I think, yeah, that's my issue with it. My issue with it is when, and this is even religiously, like you hear a lot of shuyukh saying in their lectures, you come here to get J'd up, leave, and then you start the actions. Then you start to do the things that are actually beneficial. The lecture, the podcast that you listen to, or whatever it is, that's not the ibadah that you need to be doing. The ibadah is what you do after you get J'd up because of this motivation.
the action itself.
Yeah. So that's where they tell you don't get misconstrued. That's what Hamza Zotas was saying in one of his podcasts or one of his lectures. He goes, don't get this misconstrued. You're here listening to me. I might be a good speaker. Everything might be making sense and you might be turning gears in your head and whatever. He goes, but now the momentum is what you should be capitalizing on and learning the deen. Signing up for a class, paying the zakat, doing your thing, you know, religiously, the things that are actually tangible, that are going to cause you to actually increase in ibadah and in your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But yeah, like obviously take that to a religious side. But I don't know, man.
yeah.
The thing is, have you, like, because all this motivational speakers is motivation, it's just the G up. It's not long term.
Exactly,
it's like, obviously people listen to it daily. You know, if you're in the middle of like a marathon, people like to listen to Goggins for the entire thing, and it G's them up because obviously they just want to push those couple percentages.
I think what I don't like is when they don't offer practical steps.
Okay.
When they just aerate, you gotta wake up and you gotta be motivated. And
Yeah, it's like artificial,
bro,
right?
Like okay.
No alarm clock
You know what I
needed.
mean?
Yeah, I still don't get that.
I'm not
mate
gonna
does
lie.
that.
I kind of like them ones, but specific times though. Very specific times. Like for example, like you ever had a gym session with one of your mates and he's chatting with you, yeah, and then after you do like you're training at like 50%,
Yeah.
and then you train with another mate and he's just yelling some garbage or something like. They're not actually yelling in the gym like a lunatic,
Yeah.
but he's just giving you that little
Like who's gonna carry the logs? Yeah.
at the bolts.
That's gold, that one.
Do you get what I mean? Type of thing. But I see it from the point of perspective if like you're procrastinating something and then you're trying to open up and do like your thesis or something along those lines and then you're listening to a guy just yelling for no reason, you know, to give you
I think
practice.
everyone though needs a different kind of person. Even in this motivational sphere and motivational community. For example, I think I don't know a lot of them. Maybe I know 10.
Yeah.
I think for Souhail, Andy Fazella, the guy that created 75 Hard.
Yeah.
That guy should be Souhail's guy because that guy is no BS. He goes, you don't need motivation, you don't need Jack, and he'll kind of tell you to your face. Souhail doesn't want some BS half an hour story. He wants straight facts. And if he listens to Andy Fazella, I reckon he would like him a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
I did 75, I remember.
Yeah, but then listening to him is actually like very good.
As a G up,
I see him, when I listen to him, he's like, because, for example, one of the things he talks about 75 Hard, the mental toughness challenge that he created, he goes, a lot of times people want to take it slow, which is completely fine. He goes, I wake up 10 minutes earlier each day and I fix my sleep schedule in a couple of weeks. He goes, most times in life, you don't have time for that. You need to go, tackle the hard thing first.
Yeah.
Just push yourself and then it'll all work out in whatever areas. And for Souhail, I think he's like,
practical.
I rate that. Yeah. And someone else is like, you just need who's going to carry the boat screaming in your ear and you're going to lift heavier. And it's just a preference thing.
Everyone works differently, I even heard like in a video, I remember it was going like semi-viral on my algorithm, saying apparently you get dopamine from just telling your goals to people, but that's the like wrong thing, where you're getting so much dopamine that I think you're convincing your mind that you're actually achieving those goals, even though you're just saying it. Because you can imagine like, oh, okay, I'm going to do this. This is good. This is my purpose. These are my goals. But then this is without action, and that's where it's dangerous.
Yeah.
Just to touch on what he's brought up. Remember me? You had the conversation
75 Hard,
3 years ago, I think it was. 2 years ago.
Which one?
Well, it was during lockdown, or maybe just after lockdown.
I remember with 75 Hard because at the start, I'm starting, and you told like a lot of people, and you failed, and you're like, me telling people, I feel like I already accomplished it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, you said that? Wow.
Yeah, bro. Mentally, bro, I actually felt like, and this is something that I learned about. Like, for example, if I go around telling people at one stage, alhamdulillah, I pray sunnahs, make sure that you pray sunnahs, and I'm like, it's good because the people that are gonna do it, I'm gonna benefit from that too, And then I realized that your brain somehow tricks you into thinking that just because my brother over there knows that I'm praying sunnahs, that means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is considering that action already being done. So I don't have to pray it anymore because that guy thinks I do. Or mentally, your brain is tricking you, thinking that you've done it just because that guy knows that you do it, or you say that you've done it, which is a bit of a paradox, or whatever it is that you want to call it. I don't know. It's a bit of a.
We just undervalue the actions itself,
and it's associated with such a shit feeling afterwards as well.
Even like, there's a weird thing I see guys doing in the gym, where we overstate what we're doing for no reason. You know what I mean? Like, someone goes, how many days you go gym, you add an extra day or two.
I know a couple of guys like
someone
that.
Someone goes, how much do you bench? And somehow they're doubling the weight they bench, and it's like, you know what I mean? Where we just, and we feel like in the moment, we feel good about it, then we're like, why did we lie?
Yeah.
And this is where another thing with like 75 Hard challenge, we tell people what we do, like, we pray sunnah every day. And then after that's like, I feel like you don't have to do it. Mentally, you trick.
You know those videos on that? I've seen people come up to others in the gym. It's like, oh, how much you bench? Like, what's the most? They say like 110. It's like, okay, I'll give you $110 if you do it now. And some of them do it. Like, some are full confident. But I think it's to test out people's responses after they say the number.
And most of them failed,
Yeah, a lot of them failed actually. So, because you can imagine, it's easy to say, I do 110. And it's like, okay, let's do it now. And then you kind of see people's confidence if they it shrinks, or it's like, no, I'll do it. Like, it really tests people's confidence.
You know what
110 was your best ever.
You know what it is? It's the lack of accountability. Because when you say it out loud to the other person, you've relieved that sort of pressure off of yourself. You know, because then when you go on your ones later on, and you're in the gym training or something like that, and you have to face the 110, it's like, okay, cool. That guy thinks I've done 110, but now I'm going to go back to doing 50. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And there's no pressure in that. But then, not to flip it, but I can see a good side to it as well. You know what I mean? Because when you state your goals outside, like externally sometimes, it gives you something to attain later on, if that makes sense. Do you get what I mean, what I'm trying to say?
I think goals are different than what you're doing there.
Yeah,
you could say like, hey, I want to go, for example, I want to memorize this juz in a month. I want to memorize this surah. I want to go to the mosque more.
Yeah.
But not saying I'm doing.
For sure.
I think that's the difference.
Exactly.
Saying your goals, someone holds you accountable. It's like in Ramadan, people told each other
but then
goals.
line about,
But then imagine you go, I pray at the mosque 5 times a day.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it's different than I want to pray at the mosque.
Yeah.
Say, for example, your goal is to lose weight or whatever it is. And this is just a question to you, bro. So, say for example, your goal was to lose weight, and then you've been going to the gym a couple of times, remain consistent, but you're not telling anyone about your goals. And then someone walks up to you and notices, oh well, bro, you know what? You've lost a lot of weight, mashallah.
Yeah.
You look good, bro. How do you react after? Do you pull the handbrake on what you're doing? Do you start slowing down, or do you go harder because of that?
Well, that's a very good question. I'd probably get a massive dopamine here. I'm not even gonna lie. You know what I mean? Because when someone acknowledges something that you've been trying to do in secret, then it's like amazing type of thing. But I think that's, if I'm being completely honest, it will start to decline. You start to get a handbrake. You know why? Because that's the dangerous thing about the gym as well. One of the good things about the gym is getting in for that first month before you see a result. Yeah, it's probably the hardest part, but that's what you start striving for. But once you start to get a little bit of a cut, and once that vein starts to pop, you know what I mean, or that bicep looks a little different, or something along those lines,
start slowing down.
You start slowing down
gradually,
you know? And that's why you got to respect Alam Barik. You got to respect the people who still look Alam Barik in the gym, or let's just say they're still successful in some sort of field or whatever, but they still maintain at their thing that they're doing. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, like the people that remain consistent and disciplined, that's why they are where they are. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So you got football players, you got, for example, I think they were doing like some guy was talking about Tyrone Mings like being a crap footballer, and he had a photo up on his thing where he had his shirt off. Like, whoa, like this guy's like an 8-pack basically, But we all know he's not the best centre back in far from it. But then the guy's like, wow, you got to actually put respect on his name, because this guy's like remaining consistent in what he does, and he consistently wakes up and does these things like every single day
for a long period,
without fail. And that's the reason he's in that position, even though you feel like your talent should have dragged you to his spot. Your talent doesn't mean anything, but his work brought him there. But anyways,
by the way, guys, there's 80% of you guys who watch our videos are actually not subscribed. So stop the video right here. My voice cut out. Stop the video right here. Subscribe. I'll give him a second. Now we can resume the video. Enjoy.
In the end of the day, like you were saying, bro, like you have to be unaffected by what you hear around you.
Yeah, exactly.
Like everything has to become noise.
But the thing is, like, for example, when I go to the gym with people and I don't train with them for a couple of months, they might compliment me. Like, they'll say, like, oh, you're back or whatever. And then to me, I shrug it off. No, you're air rating. But the only thing is, like, I never get the dopamine hit. So I never feel good about my body. You know what I mean? I'm always thinking, like, obviously, like, for example, your back. You don't really see your back. More people see your back than yourself, unless you're taking nice photos. But it's like, you know what I mean? Where you don't see something, you don't see the progression, people are complimenting you, and you deny it, and you don't get dopamine, and then you don't love your body, and you don't appreciate it. Sometimes you're like, I'm only happy when I get X amount, and then that means your happiness is in the future, which isn't good.
Yeah, exactly.
So what do you do there?
I think that's where you become like, you start setting goals that aren't very aesthetically inclined, you know what I mean? So
you have to be more specific, more than just aesthetics.
But I think that's actually a good thing though, because clearly you've set your goal so far ahead, or like whatever you've achieved isn't to the level of the person that's complimenting you. Do you get what I mean? Like, for example, if I can only do 60 and you're smashing out 80, do you get what I mean? Obviously, I'm going to be surprised when you do 80 type of thing. Whereas your goal is 100, you're not even halfway there. You know what I mean?
It's perspective.
You got to get out of that room, fam. that's what it is, basically.
It's true.
True.
I think...
No, go.
I was just going to say, like, in terms of people's opinions, whether it's compliments or just, people throwing shades, like maybe if you gain weight, like this is obviously fitness-wise, it's good to have, like, your core circle and establish that, where you really respect people's opinions, whether it's a compliment, whether it's a wake-up call, whatever it is. Because then the outside, you can take the compliment, but you take it lightly, and then you can ask your core circle, like family, whatever those numbers are, and actually ask them, what do you think? Have I been improving the last time you seen me? That's if people have it, but then that's where you can kind of differentiate the two.
Yeah, it keeps you checked in as well, type of thing as well. Yeah. Because if you guys are low-key on that same journey type of thing, time passes really quick. That's another thing, you know what I mean? Like we've been doing the podcast, whatever, for 4 years now. Where were we 4 years ago? Like life was completely different, But how many goals did we aspire to that? That's one thing
did we achieve?
How many of those things that we aspired for did we actually achieve? Like I was thinking about a post-travel blues, when I was in that moment type of thing. I was thinking about, bro, fam, like I'm just about to finish uni, and then after, I remember thinking about this day so much, and I was thinking about like the importance, like now I sort of see the benefit of setting long-term goals. Because when you get to that point in 5 years' time, and you get there, inshallah, like if you're allowed, then what has changed in between that time? What has kept you sort of grounded in that sense?
The only thing is, like, I know for me, like 2018, I created like a 5-year plan, which ended this month.
Oh wow!
And then it's like, May 5th. Honestly, I only remembered when you said that. SubhanAllah.
Yeah,
I haven't even looked at it, which is bad.
We're gonna have a.
I have to look at that plan.
Yeah.
I can look at even the one I wrote in 2018. Like I wrote the day it was written. That was the first day I ever journaled. This was Sem. Sem got me onto a 5-year plan.
Yeah.
His one finished, I think, Jan this year.
Yeah.
And then, mine had that. But 5-year plan is obviously unreal, but your goals change over time.
Yeah.
It goes back to Atomic Habits with systems.
Yeah.
Rather than saying like, I want to reach my peak goal, my peak body in 5 years, it's like, okay, I want to do 3 strength and conditionings a week. I want to do 1 sport a week.
Yeah.
And your system is is more likely to get you to your goal.
Yeah.
So it's good to write the goal, but you have to write the system that's going to achieve it.
100%. Yeah. Because the other thing as well is we don't acknowledge the fact that time passes like that, and that's what it is. You know what I mean? This life is nothing but like a number of days. And it's like, if you count it, it's like bang. Ramadan, when we were talking about it, one of the trippiest things, I remember me and Ali having a conversation about this. We did our first episode, like our Ramadan sort of episodes. The night Ramadan, we're going into Ramadan. You remember that night? Yeah?
Wednesday, yeah?
Yeah, it was like a Wednesday, yeah? And then bang, straight after that, Ramadan was finished, and then it was Eid. I was like, fam, like I remember like low-key like, oh crap, Ramadan's going to be a long month type of thing. And now Ramadan's almost 2 months ago. You know, it's like the way that
2 months ago,
almost 2 months ago.
Is it from the start of Ramadan, like from that day?
Yeah, from that day.
Yeah,
it's almost
yes,
been like 2 months. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I learned today that time goes quick because like I'm trying to take care of my health after Ramadan, and I used to write my weight every single day.
Yeah,
and I've been conscious of eating. I'm like, okay, trying to be. So I wrote my weight every. I'll just say like, it was 73 or 74 most days. I'm like, okay, boom. So obviously, the point here and there doesn't really matter, but each day there. And then today I check and I'm like, I'm 76.
Yeah.
Obviously, it can be one day, but that's like, damn, like sometimes you don't actually know if you're achieving your goals. And I didn't weigh myself for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I checked today, I'm like, damn, I thought I was getting lighter, but I'm not. Obviously, the numbers aren't the goal, but it's sometimes you think you're working towards your goal, but you're not. And that's where they say every 1-2 weeks is supposed to reevaluate.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this is actually working. But in the health goals, your body adapts.
Yeah.
So one thing you think is burning so many calories, it changes over time and stuff like that.
To check yourself.
Yeah,
you have
so
to
reevaluate. Because time just goes quick and it's like, oh, I added, for example, now 2 kilos in like 2 weeks and I thought I was losing. And then you do that for another month and it's like, damn, you know?
I want to segue the conversation real quick because I think we're tight on time. But going back to the whole, basically training in the shadows, doing it regardless of whether people see you and all that kind of stuff, yeah? It's a terrible segue. But
out of practice, bro. Out of practice.
Lonnie Walker yesterday. I want to talk a little bit of playoffs going into the last couple of weeks of the NBA season. Lonnie Walker the other day obviously scored 15 points.
I was going to say, who? I remember now you're talking about.
Yeah, 15 points off the bench. And when you were talking about the whole thing, it's like doing the work regardless of whether people see you or not and all that kind of stuff. That's what I thought of straight away. Because post-game, him, LeBron, AD were talking about that because this guy was starting at the start of the season with the Lakers with like Russell Westbrook and whatnot. And then as soon as like they rechanged the team after the deadline, he got obviously downgraded to coming off the bench. But when the game they needed him most, this guy, like prime Michael Jordan, just could not miss a shot type of thing. And they needed it because AD was lacking. He disappeared in the second half and whatnot. But that's just a statement regarding NBA. What's your predictions for the NBA Finals? Who you guys got winning it?
You know, I'm a Phoenix fan, so
yeah.
I'm gonna hope Phoenix do.
Yeah.
But I don't see it happening, to be honest.
I would love Phoenix because I want to see a LeBron KD Western Conference Final.
Bro, that's the thing. But like,
that'll be amazing.
Jokic seems unstoppable, bro.
Yeah.
Sure.
Jokic seems unstoppable, bro. And you've also got, I think the winner's going to come out of the East anyway.
You reckon?
I reckon.
Okay.
I feel like the winner will come out of the East.
They have better records than most teams anyway.
Yeah, and
I have home game.
Yeah, but then Miami's like cruising past the Knicks and the Cavs.
Yeah, but like what they did to Milwaukee was for a laugh, bro.
Yeah,
Come on, man. Like,
without Giannis.
I understand Giannis, but
still
still Middleton and what's his name and Holiday. They're not jokes, bro.
That's true.
They got the whole outfit there.
That's
bro.
playoff Butler, bro.
4-1.
Yeah.
To do them 4-1 like that.
What's your predictions?
Well, I obviously want LeBron to win. That's up the bat because obviously I was following the Lakers for the last 2 seasons. Yeah, because of whatever Russ Westbrook this that. Because I think it will become interesting. First of all, I don't want to hear the MJ and LeBron conversations because after that, it's going to change the game completely. You know what I mean? Well, the West is way more.
You're trying to say you want the debate to end? if LeBron wins? Is that what you want?
Let's say
I think there's going to be more of a debate. Like all
there will
doing
be
is
for
adding,
sure.
And and I want that low key type of thing because right now, like as much as I consider like I would want LeBron James to be better than Michael Jordan type of thing in my head type of thing. If you bring me to the argument of the GOAT debate, if we're going pure statistics and just based off the eye and all that kind of stuff, MJ is obviously better than Michael Jordan. You can't deny that type of thing.
MJ's better than him.
But MJ is better than LeBron James type of thing. But with that 5th championship, now the debate becomes 10 times more juicy. There's something to actually like accumulate.
Isn't he going to break the scoring record as well? Or no?
He did.
He did?
Yeah, smash.
So that's another thing, though. Another point to bring up.
What's it called? Some guy did like a debate. They put him up. It was like in the court. He was like acting like he was a lawyer. Have you seen it? He was talking about why LeBron is the GOAT. He's like, come on, bro. He goes, before the 6 championships and after the 6 championships, where was Michael Jordan?
Yeah.
He goes, LeBron's been doing it for what, 19 seasons? He's been to 10 straight finals.
Even that is a different debate. Like
he can bring it up. He's like, bro, what happened? What was Jordan doing in the Wizards?
Yeah.
And nobody knew.
we're not going to go into the debate. But it's just funny the way it's a never-ending debate.
Because the number one thing that Michael has over LeBron is championships. True. Or that championship.
Perfect record.
I feel like if LeBron wins it at this age,
bro, you have to respect MVP?
him.
Yeah.
It's hard, yeah.
Come on, bro.
But see, that's the other thing. So let's just say even Golden State come out of the finals. Yeah. More than likely they went 3-1. Yeah. Like even Steph Curry has an amazing conversation too. Not the GOAT debate.
The Mount Rushmore
debate. Do you get what I mean? So it's like whatever happens in the West is so interesting regardless of how it goes.
Well, they say KD, like I heard Charles Barkley talk about it. He said KD to me isn't in the conversation about great players of all time.
Yeah.
He goes, because what you need to do is win by yourself. When Kobe was playing with Shaq, he goes, it's nice I won it, but I'm not going to be an all-time great unless I win by myself.
For sure.
The same as LeBron when he had his
Cavs.
Yeah, when he was in Miami. Chris Bosh and Dwayne he goes, I'm not going to be an all-time great unless I win by myself. So when he won at Cavs, when Kobe won by himself, KD, the only time he's won is Golden State.
Yeah.
So if he wants to put himself in this conversation, he needs to carry a team. Even though he going as Phoenix, it's like the team's already pretty good without you.
Yeah. Phoenix
Phoenix. I think that'll.
It would. But I'm just saying he's going to a team that was like second best seed anyway. Yeah, like he was going to a good team and made them great.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
But Phoenix is another example of a good team making them great.
It would count for sure.
That would count because I genuinely don't. I didn't see Phoenix winning a championship.
It will count as in it will.
KD would be cemented.
No, it won't. I don't think so.
LeBron having Kyrie.
Say again.
Same as LeBron having Kyrie.
No. But the difference in this sense is Kyrie wasn't going to finals like this. Do you get what I mean? Whereas
Phoenix didn't go to actual finals.
Yeah, no, they were going pretty far into the playoffs. Yeah. They were pretty cemented. They were just that one little bit away. But then after we're talking KD, basically the best player in the league. Like that's
but they lacked a superstar. That's the thing. They lacked a superstar. Like I love Devin Booker. I reckon he's an absolute freak.
He's a star. Yeah.
He's not top tier of the pyramid.
He's Robin. He's not Batman.
But Loki, there's only like 4 superstars in the league.
Like
Westbrook and
not Westbrook. No Westbrook.
So I haven't heard that name in ages, bro.
Now we'll see how we go.
Have you seen the UFC guy? Was it the UFC guy or boxing guy? One of the tips for his fight said, "Don't be like Westbrook."
Oh yeah, who was it? I'm pretty sure it was DC.
I swear to God,
what was
it?
I'm pretty sure it was DC.
What does that actually mean? As a tip,
what was it? Like advice or something to?
Nah, DC was like Loki.
Don't be like Westbrook.
I said, don't be out of control.
I swear to God, it said something like that.
He was commentating and then he was Loki slashing like Westbrook, giving him shade and stuff off the mic. You know what I mean?
Tap him, bro.
Yeah, I know. Just leave the guy, bro. Different sport.
Yeah.
It's really easy. I think also the fight was in. No, it wouldn't have been. It was in Las Vegas or something.
Either way, the whole world sees it, bro. It's
but let's go quick predictions. I'm going obviously the Lakers to win, inshallah.
Yeah.
I pray that they do.
What do you think?
I don't know yet.
Ali?
Can you give me a week?
I haven't been watching. I'm going to start now for sure.
Playoff buckets, you're Jimmy Butler. You give me bucket vibes.
Now I want the Suns to win, man. I like the Suns, bro. It's a nice change as well.
Stand that team, bro. Well, I genuinely cannot.
I want to see Devin Booker win a ring as well.
The thing is with NBA titles, there's always a random team you don't expect to win. The same as like Kawhi, you know, when they won it and stuff like that. It's like, okay, there's a every couple of years there's a random team, so it could be that, you know, so someone in the East.
Yeah, so which one?
I'm not. I haven't decided yet.
The only team in the East that I can see winning is probably the Celtics.
Bro, Sixers are good.
They're not beating the
Sixers are
Celtics.
good.
They're not beating they're skimming past, fam.
I like Sixers, man.
They are good. Allah Mubarak, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When bloody James Harden goes to Las Vegas, bro.
But bro, you know what would be funny if they end up having a repeat of the bubble final.
Yeah.
They have Heat versus Lakers again.
Yeah, that would be the most
Yeah.
boring
That would-
final in the world.
Oh my god, bro!
Just imagine, Wallah.
Don't even get me
Bro,
started.
we'll have to run it back at the crib again. Because we watched the
Yeah,
finals.
yeah,
at
that was
your
just,
house
that was
as
great.
well. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I'm
that
down.
would be funny. But obviously, I'm going Phoenix, bro.
Yeah, 100%.
But if Denver get past, I think it's Denver's. I genuinely think it's
Damn.
Denver's.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm watching. I watch their team. I'm like, you got Jokic. You got he's basically unstoppable. You've got what's his name? Because bro, he does all these weird fadeaway
Fam.
shots, bro. And,
And he's on the 3-point
Even his
line.
passing
He's
range,
lofty,
yeah.
yeah.
and then you got that Michael Porter Jr. who needs to learn how to take better shots, but
And pass.
he's a good player nonetheless. He can heat up and
Yeah.
he can catch up for you. Then you got Aaron Gordon,
Yeah.
basically a dunk merchant. But
Yeah.
if you need those points,
For sure.
you've got one of the best passers in the league giving you the ball.
Jamal
exactly.
Murray,
Bro,
you
come
can't
on,
count him
bro.
out.
And that's what I was gonna say. The icing on the cake is
Yeah, Jamal Murray,
That
yeah.
guy can give you 50 from nowhere.
See, they have a complete team with technically, like, no famed superstars, you know what I mean? Like, glorified.
They
You're
usually
not
works.
going to double team anyone.
That
If
usually
you do,
works.
they'll just find the open man. Like, they're actually a team.
Yeah.
It's not one guy holding the ball. you know?
Exactly.
It's Aaron Gordon, dunk merchant, bang.
Yeah.
That's it, game
It's
over.
true.
Mm.
He scores like 10, 20.
Did you want to end it on that, or was there anything else? Because I was going to bring up one thing I've been doing research on, but it depends on time.
But we,
I might
Yeah.
have to dip.
Yeah?
listen,
Colours,
you
we
just
can
want to
end
run the episode? Just keep running
We
it?
can run the topic and Sus can tip. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, if you want. Inshallah. Assalamu.
I say goodbye to the guys on the podcast, though, our listeners.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Yes, sir. I take it, fam.
Inshallah.
Thanks, fam.
There's just one thing that I've been getting actually really enjoyed, so I wanted just to tell you guys about it. Because one thing I've been slacking on, you remember I was setting a topic, it was like getting out of a rut.
Yeah.
You know, obviously there's physical ruts, mental ruts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the one thing, at least for me, was the mental rut. Like that feeling, you know, like, oh, you know, I'm taking steps to be the best version of myself and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the one thing I thought, hey, like I listened to a podcast the other day with Mark Manson and Tim Ferriss, Souhail, and I give an F, he read that book.
Yeah.
And he's talking about how a lot of self-development books is just repetition, which is, you know, very, very true. And I agree a lot of the times, like you don't need it at a certain level. Like it's just like you just got to do the work. But then sometimes it's what Souhail was talking about before, like the reminder benefits the believer.
Yep.
You still need that revision. And
Yeah.
obviously not even self-development, just business, mental, stuff like that. So I was rereading Can't Hurt Me.
Okay. Nice.
Actually, yeah, David Goggins.
How is it?
It's
Second
good.
time?
Yeah, second time. And it just, you know, do the work. Put your head down and do the work. So
Yeah.
I really, really like that. And then I found out about this book, and I'm halfway through it now. It's the audio book. It's called Outwitting the Devil.
Okay.
And I've just been like hooked. I'm just like,
Is Islamic or general?
nah. You guys know Napoleon Hill?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
guy that Think and Grow Rich?
Yeah.
So I read Think and Grow Rich. I personally wasn't the biggest fan.
Yeah.
Because it was very just money centric.
Yeah.
It's like literally he goes, every single day, be conscious of how much money you want to make.
Yeah.
He goes to be frank, he goes, you should seek money as much as you seek like to get out your sexual pleasures. That's how much you should be seeking money. It's money,
Damn.
money, money. At least that's when I read it. Maybe I can reread and have a different perspective.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, you know, that's for people that really want money, but for someone else, like Islamic perspective, maybe it's a bit too hardcore on the dunya.
I get that.
So I'm like, okay, Outwitting the Devil, Napoleon Hill, I'm not too sure if I like it. Then I found out the story behind that.
Okay.
So Napoleon Hill wrote this book 1936. That's when he wrote most of his books, the 1930s.
Yep.
So 1936, he wrote a book, Outwitting the Devil, which is a conversation between him and the devil.
Okay.
He wrote it, and he showed obviously his family members, his business partners and stuff like that. And they read the book and said, this is too controversial. You can't release this. And then he goes, but obviously like he wanted to, he goes, no, you can't release this. And he goes, okay. So he wrote in his will that this book can only get released when his lineage dies.
Okay.
There's no one else left in his lineage, in his offspring.
They can't even question him.
So
Yeah.
1936, the book's written. 2011, it comes out.
Yeah. So recent. Yeah.
Yeah, like only 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I listened to it and I'm like, whoa. So the audiobook's much better on YouTube because you reading the book is nice, but because it's a conversation between two people, the speakers in the audiobook is like trying to sound like the devil and trying to sound
It's
like a person.
relatability, yeah.
And whoa, it's like, so the principles of it is how the devil manipulates 98% of the population
Yeah.
by putting fear
In the people.
And then the 2% is people that have faith and faith over fear and how he controls people. And Napoleon Hill just having this conversation with the devil is just unmatched.
Can I ask, the devil being?
Like shaitan. Like,
Shait-
yeah.
The
literally.
actual...
Yeah, like it's the devil, yeah.
Wait, so is he religious?
No, he just, or it's the idea. Like, these are in the 30s.
Yeah.
Most people in the 30s had this idea that there's God and there's a devil.
Yeah.
And the devil, he like when you, at the start, he talks about like, I'm not a physical being, because he goes, how do you look? He goes, I'm like, you know, I creep into people's mind. I'm an energy form. I'm made of like evil and stuff like that. You know?
Sihr.
Yeah. So it's that kind of thing where I distract people from the dunya, this world, and and he talks about how he distracts people, but just touching on like, I'm only halfway through it, but touching on there's so many things from the Islamic perspective, but understanding how the devil gets involved in our everyday life. And obviously us, even from Islamic perspective, we know the devil is weak and there's ways to get around it, but the devil still has impact on us and an influence. Yeah. So touching on this was really good. Well, I'll send it to you boys. Wallah, it G'd me up.
I'd actually be G'd to read that.
That's insane.
And even, it was written in 1936. Came out now. Like, one of the first things it said was about how the devil has an influence. He goes, how do you start? He goes, I get the young people. Yeah. You know, it's easy to impact the young people. How do I do it? Alcohol and cigarettes. In the 1930s, cigarettes was known as not a bad thing. So everyone did it. So in the 70s and 80s when everyone knew cigarettes are actually bad for your health. So then Napoleon Hill's like, why cigarettes? And he goes, cigarettes is a slippery slope to other bad things. Peer pressure, lack of discipline, stuff like that. Didn't even talk about health. He goes, I never thought cigarettes was bad. The devil goes, no, it's worse than alcohol, because it's an easier way for people to say yes to. Everyone knows alcohol. Like, you get drunk, you can do something wrong. You can, you know, like back in the days, what they used to do when they get drunk. And he goes, no, cigarettes is, you know, it can cause more. So it's an easy way for them to get into peer pressure.
And also nowadays, it's a money thing where it's like, because it's so expensive, you're losing more money. You're paying all this money for no reason. It's more than just the health. Now it's a money problem. So it's like, obviously after 2011, things are getting worse. They're becoming bigger problems.
It was so like relevant to today, and it's interesting because maybe there is an Islamic book, but Islamic books have they're very limited in the English language. So in the Arabic language there might be a conversation, but at least my Arabic isn't going to be advanced enough. If they translate, it's never as good. You know. So Napoleon Hill, he's literally like picking the brain of the devil. Why do you do this? Why do you do that? What about this? And it's like, whoa, man,
blowing your mind.
It's like, damn, you know, like, am I following half this stuff? Why am I not? Why do people do it? And it's like, whoa, because obviously the devil's very smart. Literally from Adam to now. Come on, bro. You know, he's literally every single person in your lineage. He's spoken to. He has knowledge on. He knows your DNA. He knows what to do. 100%. So you can't think, hey, without practice, I'm going to be able to overcome this guy. It's easy.
For sure.
He knows when you're weak. So just him and Napoleon Hill picking his brain, beautiful, man. You guys will love it.
It's basically making you just more conscious in everything you do in your life and how intentional you actually are. You start questioning yourself with everything you do in a good way because you're only starting to realize now. And like, for example, the smoking thing, which is interesting now because you're saying, obviously the devil's been around for how many years, but then they get smarter and smarter by taking advantage of society. Like, for example, let's use the smoking. Vaping is now in your pocket. It's like half a second to even use. And then you can develop the addiction so much quicker than you used to maybe in the 1930s.
Yeah.
Which makes it even easier to fall astray.
That's what they say. They say, what do they say, bro? They say even in current, like the Western society, the number 1, 2 deadly drugs, I remember telling you this about this, is like both caffeine and nicotine. Because it made me realize when you said the whole thing about like vaping, smoking and whatnot, the addictive part is like the nicotine. They say it's one of the most addictive drugs. Like even in the UK, like they've developed ways, you know, you got nicotine pouches and stuff, you know what I mean? The Swedish and the British over there, because they're on nicotine pouches that you chuck under your lip, like it's called snus, you know? And it gives the amount of nicotine that it gives you in that short amount of time, because you're hooked regardless, you know what I mean? You put it in there, whatever. And they say that the 2 most addictive drugs are both caffeine and nicotine. Nicotine to give you that like relief of stress, to be like, okay, cool, everything's calm, and caffeine to give you that like that kickstart. And this made me realize it because I wanted to touch back into your whole conversation about rut as well. I wanted to delve into that a little bit because going back to the whole post-travel blues and whatnot, that's one of the conversations that I had with myself as well. Like other than the whole 5-year plan, but also it made me realize, like, because all I've ever known is school, the boys, sports, and family. Do you get what I mean? And technically, other than working a little casual jobs and whatnot, there was no like proper responsibility on me. You know what I mean? But now you've completed your degree. What's going forth next? You know? And then it made me realize the whole concept of, oh, now I actually have to work. But I was like, bro, wait. So does that mean the way that the world works is you constantly have to work till the day you die? Yeah, technically speaking. And then at the end of the year, for 3 weeks, you've got to ask your manager, can I have 3 weeks off to go on a holiday? You know? And I was thinking about it because I was like, fam, when I went for 2 months on my holiday, that wasn't enough. That 2 months went away for quick. You know what I mean?
And do you know how hard it is to get 2 months of annual leave?
Yeah.
Very very rare.
Literally 2 years if you don't use any annual leave.
Yeah, exactly.
Every 2 years you can do it.
And then almost, it's just the way that the world is set up in a sense as well. It's like, and the only other time you're going to get more than 2 months is when you work for 7 years or more with long service leave.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Well, the way that it is set up in like Australia type of thing. And it's like, that made me realize it in my little right, because I was like, what am I going to do to make a life where it's like the one that I want to live rather than I got to live by some sort of other people's standards, you know? Premature thought, so I won't delve too deep into it. But that was the other thing
But
as
it'd be
well.
good to touch on, maybe we can even see some of our friends who are like-minded and a couple of years older, and they can have touch maybe a bit from experience.
Yeah.
Because it is one of those things where it's tough because, like, if you're 5 days working, 2 days off, you can travel 3-4 weeks at the end of the year or whenever you get your annual leave. So once every 12 months, you sometimes don't want to start that life because you know what's going to happen. It's only going to limit you. You know, it's like, oh, if I start full time, it's 40 hours, sometimes more.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, then I can live on the weekends, but then, you know, family commitments, stuff like that, it's just restricting you.
Yeah, fact.
Which is why it's like, if you don't need to, sometimes people are like, let me delay that life, because as soon as I start working full time in my field, you got to work your way up, gain more experience, move around.
Yeah.
And it's a very different culture.
Exactly.
You know, literally, it's Monday to Friday or whatever it is, 5 days a week, and then you literally say live for the weekends.
Yeah.
There's all these things, and now we're coming to the age where it's like, okay, how do we want to make Wali, Ali, Ashraf fit into this lifestyle in Australia?
Yeah. But that's also the way that it sounds like I'm talking about some sort of conspiracy or whatever, but the way they try trap you into the capitalistic like lifestyle, you know, it's like the quote that Jay-Z said, it's like more money, more problems, you know, you start working, and I've only known like north of $20,000, $30,000 in my life annually. Do you know what I mean? And then you get a job and now you're on $100,000 salary. You know what I mean? So instead of going for $1, 7-Eleven coffees, you know what I mean? I can go down the road to Lygon Street and I don't mind because it might not affect me as much. You know, because your expenses, your income's gone up, so your expenses gone up. And then when those two balance out, you have to. Do you get what I mean? Like you say, even when you worked in retail and stuff, you know, a lot of the most unhappy people that were working in that like environment, got into like a mortgage too early. You know what I mean? Because they worked at, I don't know, your major retail joints, and they've never ever seen $2,000 in a fortnight. It's like, I got money. Yeah,
they get excited. You're upgrading your lifestyle without even recognizing if you can afford to sustain it.
And this video came up on my For You page the other day of Gary Vee. Mind you, he never comes up on my For You page. And my For You page is a bit mental, so even motivational stuff don't really come up, you know? But he came at the right moment, where he goes, oh, if you're 23 or whatever, don't listen to your mum. You know how he speaks, He goes, don't listen to your mum, whatever. He goes, this is the time, like, if you can delay that job that you can get, you know what I mean, to take more risk, then, like, do it type of thing, you know? Because to a degree, if you actually, like, extrapolate that, he's not wrong. Because after that, there's this period where, like, you will get married and you will have kids, if, like, that's destined for you. You know what I mean? And obviously, they need to be provided for. So the ability to take a risk are not there as much. You know what I mean? Then working is the same thing. If you get a full-time job, like, you got to rock up. And you know how it is working, like, coming early in the morning. Because by the time it's like 5 o'clock, you're so knackered, your mind don't even think like that. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And that's where I understand, like, people, like, you know, like, sometimes we have unhealthy habits, like not going gym and stuff like that. Some people work, they go leave 7 in the morning, I come back 7, 8 at night. It's like, if you literally go gym, that's your life. Yeah. From Monday to Friday, it's like, I'll go gym after or before. It's like, khalas, like, you have to sleep the other 8 hours because the commute and you're working 10-hour days and stuff. So it's understandable that sometimes people have these habits and these lifestyles because their their lifestyle necessitates it. You know, they may have to feed, you know, roof over their head, feed their kids and stuff like that. But for us that are a bit younger, we're like, okay, what can we do? what lifestyle do we want? Like, even if your job offers 80 or 100,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's like, I'd rather take, you know, if I used to make 20, 30K, I'd rather take 3-4 days work week and take 60K.
Yeah, exactly.
But then I asked my job, I said, I'll take a pay cut. I don't really care. You get taxed that much on the last day anyway.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'll work 4 days. It's like, doesn't work like that.
Because they know.
Yeah,
Okay, I'd
Yeah.
rather do 25-hour week and make 60% of it and then have that extra freedom, or have the annual leave.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there's something called purchase leave that a lot of organizations have. You can pay for more annual leave. My company is
can?
like, a lot of companies have that.
Okay.
So you can talk to them about it. Even if you do 1 or 2 extra weeks,
Yeah.
it would add up. But then my company's like, no, we don't do that here. Sorry.
Yeah.
Or it's very hard to get approved. And it's like, khalas, so I get 3-4 weeks a year. I went on my holiday in Jan. So what, next year I can maybe do it again?
Yeah, exactly. But you know, even that as well, going to that, the 7-7 thing that you're just speaking about as well, that's where it's good to have like-minded people around you.
100%.
Where this is where like-minded people come into play. Because I've realized, even personally, because what happens is, if you're going from 7 to 7, 5 days a week, then also the people that you're working with are also conditioned within that lifestyle. You know what I mean?
They are, yeah.
So then that's all you're ever going to see, and that's all you're going to think life is, you know? But then when you got mates on the side who are motivated in a sense to get this other thing ticked off in their life, you know what I mean? That go to the gym maybe at like 10 o'clock. These are just like mediocre examples, you know what I mean? Or they have a life outside of work. Then it pushes you to be like, no, the world's bigger than that 7 to 7 type of thing, you know? It gives you that little bit of a flair, kickstart.
It's
Life
true.
isn't
It's true because,
Work.
and also like with the 9 to 5 thing, because I just graduated, alhamdulillah, I got a new job and stuff. I'm not working 9 to 5, but I had these thoughts about, look, I had to accept the part where if I was to do 9 to 5, I would look at it as a means to the end. Like, it's not 9 to 5 is not my ideal lifestyle. For example, this is my personal thing. Long term, I don't want to do 9 to 5 forever till 40s, 50s, whatever. But I'll start to do it now, and I'll start to plan towards how I'd like to see it is in 5, 10, even 15 years. But at least you accept that it's a means to the end. You don't say, 9 to 5, that's it. That's all I'm sticking to.
That's what everyone does.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where you start to become more conscious of your $2 or $6 coffees and all these little purchases, starting to upgrade your life, starting to like pay for things that you don't even need, go out every single weekend, go out every single lunch, all these type
Have you
of
guys
things.
watched Mr. Money Mustache?
Yeah.
Heard of that guy?
What is it?
You never heard of that
Retire
guy?
early?
Yeah.
Fire?
Yeah. You know, Ahmed should be sitting here.
Sounds weird, yeah?
He's on Tim Ferriss' podcast.
He's actually sick.
Yeah, he started the FIRE movement, financially independent retirement early.
Yeah.
And it's like it's more like he pretty much says save now, like cut expenses as much as you can, 30-40% should be savings, not just 10%. And then you can retire early, put in an index fund, and then calculate how much you need to minimize expenses. You know, because he gives the example, it's like if someone made 400K and they need 370 to live off, you know, that's the money. But someone made 40K, but they needed 20K to live off. The difference is, see, like 30K and then 20. I hope I'm remembering this right.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
getting a bit confusing. But it's quicker for the person that's making 40K a year to become financially free than the person making 400.
Yeah.
Because the savings, you're saving 50%. The
Yeah.
other person, you're saving, you know, less than 10%. So it's a quicker example. It's just watch a quick video on YouTube,
Yeah,
Mr. Money Mustache, and it's really interesting to see about it. Because he even talks about, he goes, the goal in the end, a lot of the time, isn't to not work.
Yeah.
That's not the goal. Because a lot of time people say they retire, they get bored, they have nothing to do. Work gives you something to do, something you're passionate about, you know, community stuff. But work, he goes, work is so much better when you don't need the money.
Yeah.
Like imagine right now,
Yeah.
you didn't need the money to work, but you just worked and you got paid 20, 25 an hour, whatever.
Yeah.
I'd do completely different jobs.
Yeah.
Me and the boys would go do something. I'll
Yeah.
go do this. I'll be a chef. I'll paint. I don't care because I don't need the money.
Exactly.
And you still make money, but you might make 500, 600 a week instead of 1,000. But it'll be so much better because your goal is to become financially independent. Your assets needs to cover your expenses. So literally, you just need to figure out a way. It's like, okay, I need 1,000 to live. You need to figure out a way that your investment or something you do covers $1,000 a week. After that, you're financially free. It's like, okay, now I'll make extra money just to pay for this, go on holidays.
It'd be good to have someone on that topic about the whole financial leadership, but someone that's actually done it. That's not like a
Yeah.
banker
Yeah.
or like, no disrespect or nothing.
I know what you mean, though.
You know what I mean? Like
None of Souhail's mates.
none of yeah.
You can say that now, yeah.
Nah, because actually be good because then you can engage in that conversation with them and it's like more relatable. Because also when you're at a young age, you're not thinking about like mortgages and this and all that kind of stuff type of thing, you know? But when you're covering your assets and expenses and covering expenses, then like that's a good one as well.
Literally, if you think about it, it's like, okay, how can I make 1,000 a week? You know, sometimes you know the Alex Hormozi guy?
The big guy,
Yeah, the big guy. He's a big financial guru and stuff like that. Now he's really pushing. I watched one of the snippets yesterday and he goes, it's easier to figure out a way to make $1 million a year than 100K.
Yeah.
And just because you're just, and when you're thinking 100K, you're thinking time for money.
Yeah.
When you're thinking 1 million, you're thinking leverage, business ideas and stuff like that, which is completely true. I have no idea how to make 100K a year, let alone $1 million. But these are the ways to think. And if you do invest enough time, you probably will figure it out. But it's awkward. You might get nothing for a year, 2 years, 5 years. It might take 15 years to become financially free.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, if you're 25 and you do it at 40, you're financially free first of your life, which is a beautiful thing. Yeah. I haven't started the journey.
It's like the same thing. It's like it's harder to make money in your early 20s compared to in your early 30s, you know? Or even with like YouTube as well. Your first 1K is harder than your 10K. Your 10K is harder than your thingy.
I'd love to get someone on to pick their brain.
Yeah, I was going to ask you though, because you mentioned this before you started talking about outwitting the devil. Do you get into ruts frequently?
Ruts,
not rats.
Not.
Because I want to make this a bit more personal because even from our audience as well.
Yeah.
They're probably listening.
How are you on time, Ahmed? Just so I know.
Hour 20. Okay, we can wrap this up in like 15.
Yeah, bismillah.
Yeah, whatever. Because we've got to go to the gym too.
Yeah.
But why I want to say this is, because first of all, make it a bit more personable for the audience because they're probably thinking we're quoting books and we've got our life together and all that kind of stuff. But like on a real, like we're like any other person that's like 23, 24, 25, you know?
I think ruts for me, there's different areas of your life you'd have a rut in. Or just have a bad series of events, you know? So certain things in life become easier to do. Like, for example, for me, going to the gym, I'm not in the best health, but going to the gym is actually an easy thing to do. 3-4 days a week, you do it. But then, for example, I want to focus on hifz. That's a very difficult thing for me to stay consistent with it. And that's where my deen aspect, my religious aspect, my memorization, my lectures and stuff, I'll be on a rut in that. As in, I don't have the good habits. But other areas are easier. And you start to realize that that's a normal thing.
Yep.
You know, you go through phases where you prioritize one thing and then you neglect another. And you always lean towards the path of least resistance. You know, it's not like Brian Tracy says, eat the frog. Because always do the hardest thing first. That's for me, that will probably be hifz. You know, it's like, okay, let me start my day with that. But instead, I start my day with gym. You know, and then I'm always doing the thing. It's like easier to do. You get changed, you walk to the gym, you lift a couple weights. But something else is harder. And it's a normal thing. Like listening to, it doesn't really matter. I don't keep quoting people. But you know what I mean? Like it's that's my thing. So my Islamic area post Ramadan is more like the rut. And not that I'm missing anything, but it's more like that's the thing I want to prioritize because that's the hardest thing for me to build good habits in. Yeah.
Do you recognize when you go through a rut?
Not in the moment, but then 1 or 2 weeks later, like, hey, I've been slacking. But I don't have anyone that like catches me. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, I just got married.
You would never let it get to that point. Is that what it is?
But not really. It's more like you're close with your brother, but then like even when I was living at home, Ali besides gym, what else can he catch me on? He's not going to be like, hey, where's your hifz? You know, have you memorized a new surah?
Look, unless you have those like chats with your mates or your siblings or whatever about like, you know, these are my goals for the week. Can you not be accountable, but let's talk about this again next week and see how we're going, get updates. With you, if you don't do that, then you just end up doing it on your own.
It's hard to check up. Like I know when Ali was about to go to Spain, he had the intention of doing Spanish classes, and I know he was doing classes here. Then I'd say, hey, you'd be doing your study. But I can't test him to see if he got better or worse. You know what I mean? I can just ask him. He can be like, and it ends there. So it's a bit hard sometimes.
I think it goes back to the definition of like defining rut. You know what I mean? Like as in one certain aspect tends to spiral and affect like sort of all aspects of your life. You know what I mean? In regards to you're not sleeping at the same time. You might fall off the wagon in regards to the gym, what's it called, in the Islamic side of things. And like that's what I sort of defined that as, you know what I mean? Where you're not even eating right type of thing, and it's just like, bang, I'm not in it type of thing, you know?
How about, are you in a specific kind of rut or area that you want to improve on right now?
No, I'm not. But there was a period that I was in it type of thing, and it's acknowledging that you're in the right, you know what I mean? Because what ends up happening is like, I'm like a master of like avoiding things. Do you get what I mean? In the sense that if, like, I'm really good at like controlling my stress levels in regards to, so I won't let anything stress me out directly, but I'm good at like just turning away and then focusing on something else to distract me from that. And that's how I know I'm in the right. You know what I mean? Because then I'll be doing things that I don't need to be doing when there's other things that need to be sort of like prioritized. But then the conversation there is like, what's the root of it all?
But okay, one other thing is, because sometimes we think being in a rut is a completely bad thing.
No, it's
and
not.
one thing, when you listen to athletes or any even peak performers in any field, they'll say there's areas they need to work on. They'll say I've been slacking, like a lot of authors, like I've been slacking on my physical health. You know, like it's like the sheikhs. So many sheikhs you see on the minbar, mashallah, Islamic knowledge on the ball, but how's their health? You can see it that it's not in the best shape.
Yeah, facts.
It's one of those things where there's always areas. Now you got to ask yourself, do you want to be a specialist or a generalist? You know what I mean? Like the imam is a specialist in Islamic knowledge, but you don't go ask him what workout regime you should do. And that's where maybe the everyday person should be a generalist. Where you might not be a beast at even the gym or Islamic studies or whatever, but you'll be good as a generalist, or you'll be a specialist.
And would you say, in order to decide to go down the specialist route, you're sacrificing other aspects in order to get to that level for like knowledge, for example, Islamic knowledge?
You can be a specialist in multiple areas, but it might take double as long.
It does.
You know,
maybe only so many aspects as well. You're kind of more limited.
It's like, and I recommend both of you guys will love this, JJ Reddick's podcast with J.R. Smith. Bang of a podcast. But the bit that I want to highlight in this conversation is when he goes, J.R. Smith, he went golfing with Ray Allen once, and they went to go hit the ball. Is it called a ball? It's a golf ball, They went to go hit the golf ball, whatever, and then after he just goes to him, oh yeah, by the way, I'm currently doing my masters. I'm graduating from my masters.
So Ray Allen said this, or JR?
Ray Allen said this, you know.
Wow.
And he goes, what? He goes, what do you need a masters for? Like, you're one of the like glorified NBA players of all time, amazing shooter, this, that, won championships. And he goes, I don't want my whole identity to become just being like a basketball player. Okay? Me, I'm looking at that, it's like, why is this guy thinking a master's a big deal, fam? Like, masters, you just go do it after your bachelor's or something like that. But no, this guy was a specialist in specifically basketball for about 20 years of his life, ever since he probably picked up the ball, and that's all he's ever known type of thing. But there's more to his life post that, you know what I mean? So it goes back to like what you want your identity to like sort of morph into, you know? By the way, J.R. Smith, more to make the eye.
Yeah, I heard.
Yeah,
sorry.
there's more to him that makes the eye. You know what I mean? Like,
interesting. I didn't know that.
He is a very now I understand why he got recruited again back on the Cleveland, the Cavaliers, the Lakers and all that, because there's something about him. You know what I mean? I love about it.
I think it's a good thing to investigate. You know, the idea of being a generalist or specialist, because especially you can still be like a specialist in your field. You know, you want to be a physio, you want to be a nurse or business owner or whatever. But sometimes you're just a human being with multiple interests.
Yeah.
Like some people, mashallah, they're like, I just need, for example, BJJ. That's it. I'm like, you like any other thing else? Just BJJ.
Yeah.
I like cars. I just like cars.
Yeah,
It's true.
But then, for example, me, I like a couple other different things.
Yeah.
You know, like, and then sometimes you might say like, is that a bad thing? Because if I don't play soccer, I feel bad. If I don't see the boys, I feel bad. And then you kind of just have to investigate and identify what's important to you, and then try to figure out also if there's ways, is it a leisure thing or is it a thing you want to make money from? And then just put the effort in all of it, you know? Because it is nice being a generalist, just to be more well-versed, you know?
But also, you want to be a generalist with a routine. I think that's really important, because if you're just a generalist, then like one group chat said, boys, there's haps here, you know, and then the other group chat goes there, and then you got to go to work, and then it's
no
just
priorities,
like, there's no priorities. And I think that's another thing, because routine gives you some sort of identity. Do you get what I mean? Because why are you doing what you want to do? Because you want to be this type of person.
And I think the thing about being a generalist is you don't get the progress as quick. Because, for example, you want to do 3 different things. Some people say you can't even do 3 things.
Yeah.
Most times you probably wouldn't be able to. So you're putting 30% of the amount of time you might have had compared to another task. Like one task, you put 100% of the time, but if you want to divide it by 3, you're going to get progress, 3 times slower. So it's even a thing like, are you really going to be disciplined? Because if you 3 times slower and then have breaks, inconsistent, you might never achieve it. But if you're a specialist, you might just go hard, boom.
I think we should leave the episode there. If you guys wanted to touch upon Ali.
No, I was just gonna say. So what you're talking about, being generous, and then you can, you find out from the boys there's something happening. You obviously you're like, yeah, why not? But then you realize you're sacrificing that 1 or 2 things you could do. What I find with is an issue. I just realized that I can work on. When you don't write, let's say for example your gym workouts, you don't write what you're gonna do. It's in your head, but then one thing is in your head or it's written down. For me, if it's not written down, it gives room for procrastination. It's like, oh no, I could do it tomorrow then. I could do legs tomorrow. And then it just becomes a domino effect where it's you're not doing what you said you are, and that's where the accountability you need, but then you get into a rut. And I guess the domino effect really hits hard. So I think just writing it down, bringing clarity, game changer.
I like that.
And the other thing as well, that's I think the last thing I want to touch on, I don't even know what that word I just said was, is just living life, man. Do you know what I mean? Life's not really that serious type of thing. So having that balance where it's just one thing I like that you do, that we do as well, is having that specific day in the gym where it's just a social session. Do you know what I mean? It's we're going to the gym, you know what I mean? But also there's bands, there's conversations, we're chilling type of thing. Okay, cool. On a Tuesday and a Monday, you might want to go hard and lock in, It's having that, go easy on your body type of thing.
Yeah, I like that.
On yourself. Don't be too harsh on yourself.
It's true, man.
But,
next time we'll chat on, because I see us about working. One thing I've been trying to incorporate, so when I start incorporating, we'll chat on it, about, see how we say, we'll live life when we go traveling or go explore. Doing that, trying to live that type of life here. Yeah. So we'll touch on that soon, inshallah.
Okay, I like that.
Touch on that soon.
Also, I want to do an episode on documentation as well. Because based off our travels, because I know you've got a lot lying in your bank. You've got a lot lying in your bank. I know Sus has been sitting on some content for a long time. The power of documenting your life.
New studio means a lot of new things from FairDinkum, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Guys, this episode might have been all over the place. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We came back for a bang with you guys. Just for engagement purposes, give us a comment if you've watched this episode. Tell us some things that has standed out to you guys that have been highlights. And also, if you guys want us to specifically dabble more into a conversation that we just had, or this is Ashraf recommended your book, please let us know. And why not, And make sure to share, subscribe, and we'll be back and better. Peace.